it's like you just show up on. building. So with that, we're gonna give it like 15 more minutes before we get started, but we'll start at 6:30 and we'll get rolling. So enjoy. clean over here. You got some seats on the back end over here. Make yourself comfortable. You guys want to make have some seats? There's some seats over here available.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Nice to meet you.
I'm doing fantastic.
Woo! Woo!
That's how I knew you stepped in the building. I was all the way over here and I hear, woo, I'm all, oh, look who's here, the Soil King, baby. Thank you guys for all showing up tonight. I know obviously some of you guys had to reroute it. I honestly tried to do the best I can. I know I got some feedback. I tried to send that map out showing the new location. Sometimes in business you got to pivot very quick. You guys know, for some of you who've been coming to these events for last 5, 10, or 15 of them, we do them in the other building there next door. It's the first Thursday of every single month, and on Monday we got an email from them saying that the AC units went out in that room over there. So right now it's like about 130, 150 degrees in that room. So they gave us this one. We're going to make it work and everything. Thank you guys for all showing up tonight and being here. How many people here tonight, it's your first time coming to this type of event, or this event I should say? Awesome. So again, another half of the room. Nice, nice. Mike, you got anything you want to say or anything? I got one thing that I want to do, just like a quick little exercise before we get things rolling, but anything you want to intro?
I will whenever I step up. Go ahead, do your thing.
Alrighty, raise your hand
No,
if
I'm
you've had
good.
a positive experience in the last 30 days.
Yes.
Now raise your hand if you can remember what that positive experience was in your last 30 days.
Yep.
Would anybody like to share what that positive experience was in the last 30 days? No. I had a feeling that was it. Yes, sir.
I got to hang out with you in Utah at the James Dixon.
Yes, we did. That was a good experience. What about you, man?
I've had a bunch of really positive experiences. I've landed a really good partnership with my business. But what I thought of originally was my daughter. She's 15 months old, about to be 6 months, and she was really clingy and just wants to me to hold her and pick her up and stuff like that. So I'm really about that.
That's awesome, bro. I know exactly what that is. We were just talking about that, year and a half right there, huh? It's awesome. One thing I want you guys to do is take out your notes on your phone, or if you have a book, that's totally fine. I want to start with some gratitude. I want you guys to think of at least 2 things that you guys are grateful for right now, currently in your life. And I want you to write them down in your notes, on your pad, wherever it is. How you guys doing? There's water bottles on that back table left over there if you guys need some waters, and there's some healthy energy drinks behind here if you guys need any. Also, I didn't do any basic ground rules. Restroom is back left over here, correct?
Far all the way to the gym wall.
So if anybody needs the restroom, just go right through here. You'll go all the way to the gym wall. There's restrooms back there. We have waters on the table back here. And then while you guys are writing down your what you're grateful for, again, for some people that just showed up, please pull out your phone in your notes. Write something down, the 2 things that you're grateful for currently right now in your life. And why some of you guys are writing those down. Kind of what the itinerary tonight will look like. We have 2 amazing guest speakers that flew out tonight. We are excited. We have built a great relationship with them. These are some beautiful, great human beings, and we will be having them up. So right now we're going to start. We'll do an intro. We'll bring up one speaker. They'll have 30 minutes. We'll bring up another one, 30 minutes, and then we'll break out for about 20, 25 minutes to network. We want all you guys to get to know each other, grab names, numbers, find out what it is that you do and how you can help each other out. Then we'll come back. We'll have a 45-minute session where we'll all get to know each other, find out what it is, what do you do, where are you from, what type of business, what line of work are you in, and how can we help you? What does that ask look like? And then we'll break out for the rest for networking. One thing you guys will notice at this event, there's no name tags. Why do you guys think we don't have no name tags? No ego. It's ego-friendly here. Cool thing is sometimes you never know who you're sitting next to. You never know who you're going to meet. And when you don't have a name tag, it forces you to go meet somebody and shake a hand. So get out of your comfort zone. Go meet somebody, someone that you haven't seen. Don't be intimidated by anybody in this room. We are all human beings. We're beautiful. We all have ears, eyes, mouths. We can walk, legs, arms. We're all the same people. So next, everybody good there? You guys write down 2 things you're currently grateful for. Now what I want you guys to think of is I want you to write down something in your notes. Who is someone that you are grateful for in your life? And I want you to write a couple sentences of why you're grateful for that specific person. And I want you to put their name, obviously, on that top of that note before you write it down. So who is someone that you're grateful for in your life? It doesn't matter when, where, anything. But if you could find, if I asked you to come up here, or if you had to pick up your phone and call someone and tell them that you're grateful to have them in your life or whatever it is that they've done, I want you to write that out in sentences and be detailed. We'll take a few minutes to do that. Again, just to repeat, who's someone that you're grateful for in your life, and write out something detailed of why you're grateful for that person. And be detailed with it. Like if they were standing in front of you and today was your last day to live, what would you say to that person? Oh, look at now, making look at he looked up, he's all, damn, I had a little few words, now I'm going to go a little bit more in depth. You guys, I want you to feel where I'm going with this, because after I cap this out, you guys are going to see why. Some elevator music. Summer is officially here in Arizona. 115 feels good, doesn't it? How many people are from Arizona, born and raised? Wow, 4 people in this entire room? Alrighty. Damn, that's crazy. So I'm guessing everyone else is from California? Back east, California. All I'm hearing from everybody is I'm tired of shoveling snow, I'm tired of the cold, I want to come somewhere it's warm, and then they come here and they're like, damn, this is too warm. Now I need to be a snowbird. Only live here for the wintertime, and I'm going back somewhere else in the summer.
That's exactly right.
Alrighty, how's everybody doing? Take what, maybe 2 more minutes? What's up, Nico? Write down and be detailed of that one person that you are truly grateful for, and if they were here right now, this is your last day, what would you tell them? All right, 1 more minute. I guess the cool thing about this room than the other room is we got the pool table, ping pong, and golf right here with us, huh?
Ain't nobody gonna play
Think
those
it's way
games
bigger?
tonight, so don't worry about it. No, I'm just playing.
Or actually, so it's bigger this way, but not more in depth that way, huh?
You can still out, but the further back we go, the harder it is to hear and see you. But over there, it's not too bad.
So am I hearing you guys like this one a little bit more? Or? All right, some good feedback. All right. Should I stop walking back and forth, Clayton? I'm energized. I'm ready to go. I can run. All righty. Now what we're going to do is that person that you guys put the name of who you're grateful for, you're going to text that person right now.
Go.
Now, here's the thing. What you're going to put in front of the text, I want you to take whatever it is. You're not going to change anything. You're not changing no words. You're not deleting anything. Don't change anything. Before the text, you want to put this in front. I blank. I was thinking about you today, and I don't think I tell you how grateful I am for you, and here's what I was thinking about you, and then whatever it is that you just said in your notes. And I want you to take that and send it to the person that you put down right now.
We leave the blank out?
Well, yeah, you leave the blank out, you put their name in there.
So, yeah, one more time.
So again, I'll say it one more time. Blank, I was thinking about you. So I'll use mine. Mine was Dad. Dad, I was thinking about you today. And I don't think I tell you how grateful I am for you, and here's what I was thinking about you. And then I took my whole thing of what I had said in my notes, pasted it under that, and then I sent it to them. Now, what do you guys think you're going to get back? What most people are going to get back is, are you okay? Wait till you see what this comes back as. So again, I'll say it one more time. Dad, I was thinking about you today, and I don't think I tell you how grateful I am for you, and here's what I was thinking about you. And then click send. Now, I want to ask all you guys this, because for me, standing up here, I want to tell you what I see. I see happiness, I see energy, I see smiles from side to side, cheek to cheek. I feel energy right now. How many of you would agree? Mm-hmm. When you're grateful and when you put it out there, sometimes we're grateful, but we leave it internal. But how many times are we grateful for people that we have in our lives, our business partners, our spouses, our kids, our friends, our family, and we don't ever tell them enough? What if you could do this? What if you did this on a weekly basis or a daily basis too as well? So when you guys are done, send that off, and we're going to get the ball rolling. So Michael, the floor is yours. Thank you guys again for everybody showing up tonight. This is going to be a good, fun night.
Great cast.
Again, water's over here, drinks in the back, bathrooms down to there, and let's have a great night tonight. Thank you guys.
There we go.
Awesome job.
Alrighty, I'll make it quick because I am not the speaker tonight, but thank you guys for coming out. Now, one thing I've learned about attending events is you are here because you are missing something in your life, right? You're missing a relationship, you're missing a partnership, you're missing resources, maybe you're missing funding, right? Maybe you're missing a strategy. But whatever it is, you're here to gather whatever information you're missing in your life. So take advantage of that when you show up to not just this event, but every event, right? Go there with the intention of knowing what are you missing in the first place? Why are you showing up? If for some of you guys it's just a strategy and information that you guys want to gather from a speaker, phenomenal, just do that. If it's a relationship or a partnership, if you go with that intention and you're showing up to these events and you know that, and you bring it up to somebody, I could grab you and bring you over here and introduce you to somebody who could solve your problem tonight. So with that being said, be very attentive to tonight. We're going to have a phenomenal time. Our guest speakers flew in from Utah. You guys are from Utah, right? From Utah. So we got Tanya and Jason Henderson. Tanya herself and Jason, they're real estate investors. Tanya focuses a lot on the health space. She's an entrepreneur. You guys will see what she brought for you guys today around, laying around. If you guys see any of these, feel free to take one. They're samples. Try one, drink one, throw it in your water. And with Jason himself, he's been involved in being a fund manager, right, in infinite banking. So if you guys want to know about finances, you guys want to know about real estate, you guys want to know about business, structure, developing, trusting people, right, this is a great night to have these two come out and speak their knowledge, wisdom, and experience. So that way you guys can gather this information. Yep. And then with that, the notes you take, don't be that person that just takes notes and then never does anything with it, right? There's this knowing-doing gap that exists. There's a whole lot of people out there that know a lot of information, right? They take every course, every program, hire every coach, every consultant out there, and then they don't do nothing with that information, right? So if you're involved in the ideal community, the one thing that we're going to have you guys do is take action on the stuff that you guys learn. Whatever needs to get applied right away. So with that being said, I'll step out of the way. We're going to have Tanya come up here and speak first, and I'll share the floor now with her. Thank you guys for all coming out. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for coming.
What a great event. Here's to Michael and Blake, yes, for bringing you all together. Super grateful to them for inviting us here to speak to you. I love these kind of events. My one frustration is, like Michael said, so often you go to an event and you feel motivated, you feel excited, you feel empowered, and then you go home and it's like you've been to Costco, right? You go to Costco, you spend $800, you come home, you have nothing for dinner, right? So tonight, I hope that this will not only be inspiring and motivating. My hope is that you will feel like it's been transformational. I really hope that you will leave here with some action items that you can incorporate into your life that will improve your success, your relationships, your life in general. I am originally from the South. I grew up as a young girl in the Southeast, where it was humid, there was lightning bugs. I spent most of my days riding my bikes, picking blackberries, sitting on the front porch, shelling peas, hearing lots of stuff about how not to get too big for my britches. That's what they say in the South. I had wonderful parents. They did everything they knew how to do to make sure not only that I understood the value of life and was involved in good things and engaged in good causes. Also, they did what they knew how to do to make sure that I understood my worth and my value, and I'll be forever grateful for that. What they didn't know was that when I was about 10 years old, their efforts were undermined. My parents were never very wealthy. In fact, I found out later that they actually struggled quite a bit financially. However, they were generous. And they reached out to a young man, an extended family member, who had a rough life, rough situation at home. And they offered to let him live with us for a while to give him more structure, more stability, some support, a better life. What they got in return was a sexual predator who not only stole valuables and money from them, but stole the innocence of their daughter. It changed my world. My innocent, simple, blackberry picking life suddenly was something I didn't recognize. And I went on with my life. I went to school. I grew. For several years, I went around as normal, and yet I didn't understand the full effect that had on me. He left after a year or so, and the abuse stopped. The trauma in my life didn't. I looked in the mirror, and I didn't recognize who I was. What once was a reflection of joy and light and confidence, suddenly that reflection was fearful and hollow. I didn't know who I could trust. I didn't know whether I could trust anyone ever again. I didn't know how I could possibly fit in with my friends, other people my age. They had simple, carefree lives, I thought, that mirror seemed to be shattered in 1,000 pieces. Thankfully, I believe, and it was demonstrated to me, that God loves us enough to meet us exactly where we are and loves us too much to leave us there. And I will be forever grateful for an elderly woman He put in my path at exactly the right time. I confided in her. And when I did, she listened patiently, and then she grabbed me by the cheeks like this and said, "Tanya, how much longer are you going to allow that man to abuse you?" It changed my life. It gave me clarity and hope in one afternoon. Why am I sharing this with you? You've come here to improve your business, to network, to get success tips, all those things. Here's the reason. No matter who you are, no matter where you've come from, no matter what your business is, you will inevitably have an event or multiple events in your life where you are backed up against a wall and you must decide whether to give up or get up. And when you're in a position as head of a business, head of a family, where you have people that look up to you and look to you for encouragement and guidance, you need to know, you need to be able to look in and lead in before you lead out. You've got to be able to look in the mirror like I finally did and say, I'm going to pick up these pieces, these broken pieces, and make something better. God can use all things for our good. I truly, truly believe that. However, you must understand how to take those events, those setbacks, those obstacles in your life that threaten your what you perceive as your value, your skills, your potential. You've got to be able to take those things that at first seem negative and reframe them in order for them to help propel you, in order for those events to help you grow. So tonight, what I'd like to share with you are 5 ways that you can do that. 5 ways that you reframe these events in your life. And I remember these 5 events with an acronym, Give 100%. The G stands for shift from a get to a given mindset. Move from get to given. And this is a 2-part shift. The first, well, let me ask it this way. I told you that there was one thing that you could do that would have all these results. How many of you would want to do this? Listen. This one thing increases your patience, improves your decision making, strengthens your immune system, improves your relationships, reduces stress, reduces anxiety and depression, improves your sleep, improves mental clarity, speeds recovery from health challenges, increases your overall feeling of optimism. It makes you more willing to help others. It releases toxic emotions. It increases your focus. It turns on all the learning centers in your brain. It reduces pain, lowers cholesterol, reduces blood pressure. I could go on. We'll stop there.
How long does it take?
How long does it take? Some of the things are instantaneous, and some develop as a pattern.
No, the one thing.
Oh, how long does it take? 5 minutes. Anybody want to know? Anybody want to wager a guess of what it is?
Oh, I said I want it.
You want it?
Breathing, oxygen.
Breathing? No. Gratitude is what Blake just ran us through right here, right at the very beginning. And we talk about gratitude a lot, right? You hear it over and over. And most people think it's simply feeling grateful for stuff, which is the first step. But the key to having all these effects is more than that. It is expressing, either verbally, written, in a journal, in a text like he had us do, expressing gratitude for 3 unique things every day is where they have found that sweet spot that opens up all sorts of things in our lives. So the expression of gratitude, I have a friend that has a plaque hanging on her wall. It says, be pretty if you are, be witty if you can, be grateful if it kills you. Excuse me. Gratitude is the quickest, surest way to forming an optimistic outlook on any situation. Gratitude is the first part of this shift. You start by expressing, not just feeling, but expressing gratitude. The second thing is we want to learn how to move from, well, let me start this way. You are here. And the world has conditioned us, society has conditioned us to set goals. Goals are a good thing, right? They keep us motivated, they keep us moving, they help us look forward. The problem is that when you are here, and by definition your goals are here, and they're idealistic, right? Ideal, we set goals. That's a good thing, gives us purpose. The problem is, though, is when we look at our goals from where we are, there's a gap. And we measure in that gap. And so we need to learn to shift from living in the gap. Dan Sullivan calls it the gap. And when we're in that space, we're focusing on what we need to get. How can I get it? How can I achieve it? What can I get? Okay? When really, even though we want to keep those goals, we need to measure from where we've come from. We need to measure this direction. This space he calls the gain So we want to move from the gap to the gain. And I'll start by saying all of us fall into the gain. You're never, ever going to prevent yourself from falling into the gap. You're never going to prevent yourself from falling into the gap multiple times a day, right? The key is to recognize it, call yourself out, and get out. What does that look like? What does it look like to fall into the gap? How many people in here are parents? Okay. Part joy, part guerrilla warfare, right? And, sometimes it's simple things. Your kids come to the table, like my daughter did not too long ago. Mom, why do you not want me to be happy? Dinner was not what she wanted. It was not what she expected. It was not the ideal. We fall into the gap when there's something we expect, when we have formulated expectations about a relationship, about how we want our significant other to act or treat us, or things we want them to do. We fall into the gap when we have things that don't meet our expectations at work, when we don't have as many sales as we want. Whatever that is that doesn't live up to that ideal that we've put in our mind as the goal, we're in the gap. So it can be simple things like not getting what you want for dinner. It can be a little more complex about, somebody not acting like you want them to. It can be something much more complex. It can be living in the space of a trauma in your life that still has power over you. We haven't yet learned to take hold of that, to reframe it, and to use it in our lives for good. That's living in the gap. Instead, set your goal. However, when you measure from back here. Look how far we've come. Look at what ground zero was 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 12, whatever it was. Look at where you've come from. And what that does is when you see how far you've come and the progress that you've made, it gives you confidence, it gives you motivation that carries through so that you're more able to reach the goals that you have set for yourself. Make sense? Yes, so G is move, shift from get to given. I is input. Bob Proctor once said, input determines output, output determines outlook, outlook determines outcome, outcome determines your destiny. And he was so right. Input is everything. And input comes from a variety of sources. It has to do with the things that you put in your body. That's why I have a nutritional company, not because I'm passionate about drinking a green drink or taking brain vitamins. I'm passionate for the fact that I know how important my physical health is to my mental clarity, to my spiritual situation, to my financial situation. It's all so connected in such a complex way, they're impossible to separate. In case you need proof of that, stand up for a second and find a partner. Decide which person is person one and which person is person two. We'll just do this one time. You can do this as many times as you want later.
I don't know what she's doing.
I want hey, because you're gonna need to think on this for a second. I want person one to hold your arms out to the side. Okay? And in your mind, I want you to imagine eating the biggest, best, sugary, chocolatey, gummy, whatever treat that is your favorite treat. Your favorite thing, person one. Arms out, you're picturing yourself, you're imagining yourself eating that Snickers bar, that chocolate cake, that ice cream, whatever. Person two, I want you to press on their arms. Person one, do not let them push your arms down. You try to hold your arms up. Person two, wait, make sure they're thinking of that thing, and then try to push their arms down. Try to push their arms down. Push as hard as you can. Push them down. Push them down. Think of that sugary treat. Okay? happens to be something you add to your water that has a bunch of minerals, chlorophyll. It's great for energy, inflammation, all this stuff. I want you to hold that in your hand, and I want you to imagine yourself drinking that. Do the same thing. Hold your arms out.
Healthy and
Now
strong.
try to
Good for you.
push their arms
Put your arms
down.
out the same way. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I believe you were stronger. But you can't take it from me
have a
because I believe I'm very gentle. Did you feel like you were stronger?
Well, I mean, it's a lot.
Have a seat.
Yeah, you're pretty strong.
I know what kind of candy bars you guys are thinking about.
Did you notice the difference? Yeah. Did you notice the difference?
We should try someone else.
In the event you are like
That's cool.
hundreds of other people that I have tried this on stage, in person, just my kids, you should have noticed a difference in how strong that person was, how strong you were when they were thinking, and you're only thinking of eating the chocolate cake. And it affected you physically. Imagine what it does when you really do eat it, or when you really do put something in your mouth and in your body that's good for you. The effect it has, they are so tied together. So physical input, what you eat, what you drink, the things we watch on TV, the things we listen to on the radio, all sorts of input that affects us. The most important input we get is from ourselves. The things we say to ourselves, okay? Do not think what you don't want to become. Do not say what you don't want to become. Do not take in what you don't want to become. Do not practice what you don't want to become. I'll tell you quickly, my son, as an 11-year-old, wrote himself a letter when he was 16. He wrote himself a letter when he was 11 to open when he was 16. The letter said on the envelope, do not open until you're 16. He opened it on his 16th birthday, and this is what the letter said. Dear Scott, I guess since you're reading this, you made it to 16. Congrats, dude. It's been amazing. I know you're on the baseball team. You're starting as varsity pitcher. That's so cool. You're a 4.0 student. You're getting ready to go to college. I guess you got pretty smart since you were my age. You have great friends, a great family. Good job. I just wanted you to know you're awesome. Keep it up. And then in P.S., this is the best part. Here's $20. He put $20 in the envelope. Right? What?
Did he remember
He didn't remember, but we were cleaning, his room one day and came across it, and he opened it. All those things were true. He remembered the goals that he'd set. He didn't remember that he'd actually put like $20 in the envelope. So, he went out to pizza that night or something. I don't know. What great input. And this is a kid's effort, right? Let me tell you what that looks like as an adult effort. And I'll start with this caveat. In my faith, we believe in paying a 10% tithing, okay? And so normally, especially as an entrepreneur, you have no idea what the year is going to look like. You come to the end of the year, you add all, up your income, you figure out 10%, you give the money. I have a friend whose father was a potato farmer in Idaho. Crops are completely dependent upon things outside of his control, right? Even the price is set by something outside of his control in general. He believed in also paying tithing. He wrote out a 10% donation at the beginning of the year. What do you think that input does? Right? Faith, absolutely faith. And also, you're teaching your subconscious. Okay, I is for input. V is for validation. Get your validation vertically, not horizontally. When you do, look for people to be in your corner. Make sure they're the right people. You don't need to worry about people that the likes and the followers and this and that. You want people who have been there, who have done what you're wanting to do, who have spilt their blood and their sweat. You want people who know what it's like to to put their head in their hands or slump down in a chair or fall to their knees, not knowing what they're going to do. You want people who have spilled their blood on the mat and fallen and been broken and gotten back up the next day to fight again. But the people that show up and sit in the cheap seats and want to tell you how you should have done it, what they would have done different, how you could have done it better, don't let them. Don't listen. You will have more than enough people who are content to be comfortable. You'll have plenty of people who are simply fine to go with the flow. And when that's what they want, let them and love them where they are. But don't you dare let them talk you out of your greatness. Don't you dare let them talk you out of your greatness. E is energy. Focus your energy. Design where you're going to put that focus every single day. And we could talk a long time about this, but I'll make it quick. If you knew you had one day left, where would your focus be? No success, no accolade, no award, no amount of money is going to compensate for failure in your home with those people who matter most. No one is going to remember that you worked late except your children. So that's give. Finally, 100%. You are 100% accountable for your life, for your success. Notice I didn't say you're 100% accountable for everything that happens to you. You are 100% accountable for how you respond. And your success in your life is much more determined not by your circumstances, but by how you respond to those circumstances. Choose to act rather than be acted upon. I'll give you one example of this in closing. My dad taught me this lesson when I was very, very young. It's one of the things that I learned from him that I treasure. He was a salesman. He sold sinks and faucets and towel bars, and he was great at what he did. And when he worked in an area all across the eastern United States, and once in a while, I was lucky, I got to go with him. And this particular day, we walked into a beautiful showroom in Tennessee, and he went looking for the manager of the showroom and handed the manager his business card. Hello, I'm Bill Wells. The manager took one look at the business card, saw the company that he worked for, and tossed it. He said, I want nothing to do with you. I want nothing to do with this company. I worked with you 6 months ago, or worked with the company 6 months ago. My dad was new to the company. It was not a good experience. In fact, it was such a bad experience. I want you to leave. And here I am, my little 10-year-old person, just kind of wanting to slink out of the store. When my dad turned around and left, he walked outside the store to the sidewalk. He put his briefcase down. He took a deep breath, straightened up his tie, picked up his briefcase, walked back into the store. The manager saw him coming, and this time he came at him rather aggressively across the store and said, I thought I told you to leave. And my dad smiled at him and said, you did, but you didn't say I couldn't come back. My dad chose to act. He did not let the circumstances write his story. He chose what he wanted the story to be, regardless of the obstacles, regardless of the setbacks, regardless of what anybody said to him. He chose to act, and he rewrote the story. He sold $100,000 worth of merchandise to that manager of that showroom that day, and they became lifelong friends. He was at my dad's funeral a few years ago. When you face those experiences that back you up against the wall, when you don't know what to do going forward, reframe those experiences. Shift in gratitude. Shift from a get to a given perspective and mindset. Control fiercely control everything you allow to go in, the input. Get your validation from the right sources. Focus your energy on what's most important. And recognize that you are 100% accountable for your own life. You look in the mirror like I finally did. You say, this is where I become great. Thank you.
All right, real quick. Who picked up some? Who wrote down a note? What did you take from that? Anybody? Feel free to share.
God uses all things for good, transforming pain into purpose and choosing to take responsibility for the way we respond. I love it. That's good. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, thank you. Absolutely. So she spoke on something that resonates with me heavy, right? Tithing, 10%, right? And this was so important to me. So if you download the Ideal app, there's an allocation calculator inside of the Ideal app. For every single penny you earn from this day moving forward, it teaches you how to allocate your money in your business, how to pay yourself, and then from what you pay yourself, how to allocate your money in your personal life, so that way you can structure your personal life and start telling your money where to go, logging into the bank account, seeing where exactly it's at, and so you know how to live a financially free life, or at least start somewhere and build out a roadmap to live a financially free life. So that was one thing that's huge, because when it came to giving, right, if you can't give 10% of monetary value, can you give 10% of your time somewhere, right? So a lot of us always tie our tithing to just money right away. But think about, what do you have to offer? Maybe it's not 10% of time. Can you give 10% of your knowledge to somebody else, right? So what can you do to, there's a 33% rule that I heard from somebody. Someone might know this out there. I don't know who I heard it from. But someone to have a kind of a fulfilling life, you want to spend 33% of your time with people that have been there, done that, right? Seeking counsel from people with knowledge, wisdom, and experience for where you want to go. They have the results that you want to get today. Spend time with them, right? How do you spend time with them? You buy their books, right? You read their books. You buy their courses, their programs. You hire them as a coach. You hire them as a consultant. You spend time with them because they got the knowledge. Then you spend 33% of your time with people on your level. Why do you do that? Well, because they're running with you, right? You can bounce ideas off of them. That's where you create a mastermind. That's where you involve everybody around you who is thinking like you, who's moving like you, so that way you guys could go increase together. Then you spend 33% of your time giving back to pull other people up to your level, right? So if you do that and you do it kind of equally and you kind of find ways to live your life like that, then in all your guys' products or service, if you're an entrepreneur, you got a business in here, you offer a product, you offer a service, you should be offering it to a 33% to bring somebody up, right? Whether it's through information, saving them time, saving them, whatever it is. So tithing, giving, that resonated with me. And the other thing was what you put in is what you get out, right? I took that from what she was saying. What you put in, what you get out. A lot of people, if you're scared to move forward with whatever it is, right? There's a decision you have to make, and you're scared to make it because of outside circumstances, outside conditions, maybe the outside environment, external from inside. If that's blocking you, whether it's the news, the media, your parents, school, society, social media, that's stopping you for whatever reason doing what you want to be doing, we need to get over that, because that'll stop you the rest of your life. I woke up to a text the other day to a person I want to help, genuinely want to help. Now, I charge for the help, but I genuinely want to help this person. I'm gonna get them to commit. But here's what I woke up to. Financially is becoming the biggest obstacle for me. Jobs are laying off at an alarming rate around me. Soon it'll hit my company as well. Election years are never good years to spend big. I believe in what you're doing. I'm just nervous with how much you're charging and what's happening in the market right now. That is a person who's allowing outside circumstances, outside conditions, and the outside environment control every decision he's making for the rest of his life moving forward. Until I get him to commit and we change that paradigm in him, because whatever you want to do is internal, right? I could say one thing from experience: you're at this thing alone, life. You're at it alone, right? You're like, yeah, I don't got friends. So, right? Oh, well, I don't got a community that supports me. So, oh, my family don't support me, my friends don't support me. So, like, you're at it alone. It's up to you to create the circumstances you want, create the outcomes you want. So what you put into it is what you're going to get out. So our next speaker is Jason Henderson. If you guys don't know him, phenomenal individual. He is a financial literacy expert. He's anybody in here know what infinite banking is? It's a phenomenal not a tax strategy, I should say, phenomenal financial strategy to help generate wealth in your life. He has a book. Is this book all about it? Infinite banking? So he's also a host of the Master Your Millions podcast. It's a phenomenal talk show. He has phenomenal conversations on there. So if you guys can, definitely tonight, go subscribe to it, give it a listen on your way home. You guys will gain a lot of valuable information from that as well. His book, what did I just say, right? You want to spend 33% of your time with people who have the results you want, and they're getting those results today. How do you do that? Well, you invest into their books, their courses, their programs, their coaching, their consulting, so you can learn what they know. So his books are available in the back. They're $10. I will do you guys a bonus. We will make sure he stays till midnight to sign them. So, so we'll be good. So with that being said, let's welcome Jason Henderson up.
Go ahead, no, keep going. I was going to say, actually, no, you're going to read that. Real quick, just so you guys know, because a couple people asked, he'll either take cash, Venmo, or you can go on Amazon and order it, but if you do cash or Venmo, it's $10, because on Amazon it's 20. And for Ideal, what we're going to do is for every book that is sold, we're going to donate one free bundle pack from us for every book.
That's a daily success book to help you guys master your habits, right? He helps you master your millions. We help you master your habits so you can master your millions. All righty, let's get up here, Jason.
Man, I'm super excited to be here. I'm not so excited about the heat. I grew up in Idaho and it's usually cold, and I don't know about this heat. How many have seen the movie Saving Private Ryan? Okay. At the very end, I believe it's Captain Miller, what does he say to Private Ryan? Do you remember? Does anybody remember what he says?
Go home, live a good life, make our sacrifice worth it or something like that.
Along those lines, right? Because then at the end of the movie, it's like fast forward as a flashback, right? They're in overseas. Private Ryan's an old guy and he has his family around him.
But be a good man.
He says, earn it. I grew up with a man who was a veteran of World War II. And just this time of year is kind of a tender year for the fact that I grew up on his stories. Everybody knows about D-Day, which was June 6th. June 5th, that most people don't know about, is when Rome fell to the Allies. On June 4th, my dad was one of the first soldiers into Rome before it fell into Allied hands. Before that, there was an invasion called Anzio. And on Anzio, it was a 5-mile wide beachhead, about 2 miles deep. And in the process of 4 months, from January to June, before they broke out, there's about 50,000 men that lost their lives. Men and women, I should say. Just in the fighting. Now, I know of a couple of those names of guys that lost their lives. One was Lieutenant Antonelli. They had a meeting, and Dad and him were standing next to each other, and there was some artillery fire. There was an explosion there, and there's an explosion there. If you know what's going on, they have you zeroed in. Antonelli went one way, Dad went the other way to get to cover, and they never even found his dog tag. He took a direct hit from an artillery round, and they found nothing of him. Another time, there was a guy in a minefield, and Dad didn't order anybody to go with him. He asked for a volunteer, but they found their way out through the minefield, sticking their knife into the ground to figure out where the mines were, and pulled the guy out to safety. One thing he says, you know, in war, what happens is when guys are mortally wounded, they will always cry for their wife or their mother. And they're not quiet about it. They're very emotional about it, crying for their mom or for their wife. And that's the way that guy came in. One other guy that I do know his name of is Sergeant Jackowitz, and that was my dad's sergeant. He was a platoon commander. He had been by Dad's side since North Africa, all across North Africa, up into Italy, and this was on the breakout from Anzio on the way to Rome. One night he was asked to go on a reconnaissance mission, which is to go find out where the enemy was, right? And they went at night. And he took 3 other men with him, Sergeant Jackowitz and 2 other men. And as they were going along a road, all of a sudden there was gunfire, and they went to the ground, of course. And knowing the curvature of the road, they were down in what they call a borrow pit, or the side of the road. The gunfire could never get to them, but they knew light was coming soon. And Dad said to Jackowitz, Walter was his first name, he said, "We got to get out of here, because it's going to be light soon, and we're dead men. I'm going to pinch you when I feel it's right. I'm going to pinch you. You pass it on, take off, and stay low, and run for it." When Dad felt it was right, he pinched him, and he took off running. Sergeant Jackowitz was faster than my dad. And when he got in between my dad and whoever's gun it was, he took rounds to his body that picked him up and threw him into my dad. They just ruined the sound. And fell to the ground. And Sergeant Jackowitz died right there across my dad's legs. An only child in his family. I grew up with those kind of stories. Now notice the guy that Dad pulled out of the minefield. I don't know his name. On the flip side, I know Sergeant Jackowitz's name. I felt like growing up I needed to earn it. Of course, Saving Private Ryan was recent, but I always had that feeling that I need to live up to something that somebody had sacrificed, real sacrifice, so that I could stand here before you today. So fast forward several years after the war, I'm to be born. My mom's having contractions, and she goes to, there was 3 sixplexes, kind of in a U. My dad was up on the roof of the 3rd one, finishing it up. He came home from the war and just became an entrepreneur, built his own way, right? And Mom hollered up and said, "This baby's coming. You come to the hospital or not?" And she drove herself with my dad in the passenger seat to the hospital, and I was born. A little while after that, they sold those sixplexes, and Dad acted as the bank. In other words, he carried paper. Most people know that in real estate, right? Carried the paper. And for the next almost 40 years, for the fact it got sold a couple of times and he would carry more paper, Dad collected a check every single month and didn't even go by the place. And so I grew up with that, wow, how do we be the bank? How do we be the bank? What do we do? My brothers and I would talk about it. I was the youngest of 9. Well, one thing is that Dad always said, you got to go to school, you got to get an education, you've got to get a good job. Well, I really wanted to do what Dad told me to do. I always kind of did that. And I did. I got a PhD in chemistry. I did a postdoc at Caltech, and I worked with some of the very famous professors. In fact, my one professor won the Nobel Prize in chemistry 4 years after I left. I did some cutting-edge stuff. I was talking to Mark earlier. It's kind of fun to talk to him, someone that kind of knows some of the stuff. I was at the leading edge of nanotechnology. Well, there's a building on Purdue University's campus now that's about a $40 million building that was based upon the research I was doing in the early 90s. I wrote my dissertation in 3 weeks. I have 5 patents. I have published a whole bunch of publications, blah, 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 blah. I thought I was smart. I thought I was something special. But the reality was, when I got my first job in the San Francisco Bay Area, I was living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, I was making 6 figures, but it still was making paycheck to paycheck. And then I started looking, I've done everything right. I did exactly what Dad told me to do. I was earning this, right? But I was stuck. But then there was this professor that asked me, well, if we're so smart, why aren't we rich? And it haunted me. And then I started thinking about, I'm barely making the mortgage payment, I'm barely doing this, there's a baby on the way, well, what are we going to do here? How are we, stress. So I started to say, well, I have learned to become a world expert in chemistry in a short time. I think I can do this with finances as well and earning money. So I started a quest to figure out how to really do it. Is there a formula? Is there a way to do it? And I believe that there is. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what you're currently doing. And I don't care what business you're in. I believe that the part of that formula helps you to make that business better. And that is the business of banking. I propose to you that banking is the most important business in the world. And why I say that is, I want to exchange with you and I want to buy something from you, I need to give you something of value, correct? So if I don't have cash, then I'm going to do a credit card, Venmo, some way I'm going to exchange money, and it's $100. I pay $100, how much do you get? You don't get $100, right? There's credit card fees.
97.
Roughly.
Maybe 96.
Maybe 6. If it's an American Express, it can be less than that, right? It just depends on what's doing. It's the exchange from one person or one business to the other that the business of banking facilitates, and they make a killing on doing it. Did they were involved in that exchange? Nope, but they took 4% or 3%. Every single time. They're financing what's going on. They're making the exchange of money happen. And it's done on a global scale. It's on how you're financing things. And that really is the secret. We outsource the banking function from our life. We're taught that way. The system isn't broken. The system's designed the way it is. They don't want you to know how much they're really making. Back in the late 80s, there was the S&L crisis, and a lot of banks were having, the savings and loans were having a problem, right? Because they could get money from the Fed at 6%, and they're loaning at 8%. What's their profit? 2%. Think again, what's their profit? I buy something for $6 and I sell it at 8. 33%. Go to the head of the class as an A student. Okay, so they're making 33% on that, right? Because all the banks do is they buy money and they sell money. That's their business. They buy it from savers and they sell it to borrowers. And they do it as fast as they can. Okay, I have a toy company. I buy trucks, toy trucks at $6 and I sell it at 8. I have a 33% markup. So what happened? The Fed lowered the rates to 4%. And they were loaning it at 6%. What's their profit? 50%. Now you know what you're thinking, right? You're thinking different, because before you would have said 2%, they have the same profit. Nope. Their profit went from 33% to 50% every time they did it. The reality is they can do it faster than, they do it ultra fast. That's the whole reason we have blockchain, is to be able to facilitate the exchange of money from people to people. Before, it would take a long time. Credit cards can take a whole day to settle. The blockchain, we can settle it really fast. Still, there's a way that they're taking part of that money out, and we're outsourcing that. So you see how all of a sudden, just by that little change, that most bankers didn't even know at the time. Why are we all of a sudden profitable? We're doing the same amount of loans. We're doing this. We're borrowing here 4 to 6. It's before 68. Well, we know the last decade they've been giving us 1% or less in our savings account. So they're buying money from us at 1% and they're loaning it out at 4. You see where the profit is? That's a phenomenal markup of money, a phenomenal markup of what they're purchasing and selling it. And when I understood that, I said, whoa, that was the bank back then. I want to own a bank. I want to get in the business of banking. How do you do that? Well, there's a couple of different ways to do it. One is you can do it the traditional way or the typical way, and that's to put a bunch of people together and have several $1 million. Probably to start off, you'll probably need to put $20 million in deposit in an already established bank, an FDIC bank, and just let it sit there to prove that you have the money, right? Then there's a whole long line and a lot of regulations you have to go through in order to eventually arrive at getting a charter from the FDIC to have a bank. And once you have that charter, then you need more money. You've got to buy a location, build a building. If you notice, all banks are pretty dang nice. It's not the cheapest carpet. We're talking marble. We're talking everything is, carved carpet, every columns, everything. It's really nice, right? They want to have that impression that once you walked in there, it's a safe place to have your money. A safe place for you to sell your money. if you understand it right? Because that's what you're doing. You're selling your money to them. Well, once you get there, then you need money to even loan out. Remember, I deposited some money in someone else's bank, but I don't have any money to loan. Banks don't have their own money to loan. They don't loan their own money. They're relying on other people to loan their money. So the reality is, if you come in and deposit, say, $10,000, do you realize that every time on your money, they're making between 400 and 1,500% on your money? Let that sink in for a minute. They are making 400 to 1,500% on your money. That's not my statistic. You can look it up. They are making a killing. And you have seen sometimes in the news, oh, these bank executives, they're getting, $120 million bonus. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. You know what? That's pennies in what they're doing. So how do we get in the banking business? How do we have a banking business? Could we have some sort of financing arm of our business? Whatever our business is. I don't care what your business is. Well, here's another question. Who makes more money, GM or GMAC? GM builds the cars. GMAC finances the cars. Who makes the most? Why do you know that? What? Okay, is it because I said something? But you already knew that. Is it Toyota or the financing of Toyota that makes more money? Everybody knows that, but why aren't you in that business? Why isn't your business, whatever that business, why doesn't it have a financing arm to help people to get your products or your services? Or why don't you have a financing arm that's going to finance your business's expansion? You need a new place? Why isn't it that you have something in a way that's financing it so your business can grow faster? Why aren't you in the financing business? Because it's so hard to earn that coveted charter from the FDIC. That's one of the reasons. There's another way, though, to get in the banking business that most people don't understand. And that's whole life insurance. Oh, crap. Are you serious? Whole life insurance? I don't want to talk about whole life insurance. That's expensive. You're right. It's very expensive when it's designed for death benefit. You don't want it for the death benefit. You want it for the financing capability of that contract. You take that contract to a contract lawyer, and you know what they're going to tell you? This has more in common with an FDIC bank than it does simply with a death benefit. That's what they're going to tell you. And the industry deserves their bad reputation. The industry has talked all about death benefit and your need for death benefit. That doesn't do anything for me. It might make me sleep better at night thinking, oh, my wife will get some money when I die or something. Because life insurance should be three things. It should be a death benefit, it should be a deferred asset, but it also should be a current asset. And that current asset allows me to finance whatever it is I want to do. When you understand that that's the capability of that contract, you want that contract. And you want it from a mutual company for the fact that when you have a policy and every time you do premium, you're essentially buying more percentage in that company. Now, if I had the ability to say to you, come here right here, I have the ability to sell you preferred stock in Apple or Tesla. How many's jumping up and buying it? Most of you are going to do that. Well, when it's a mutual company, it's basically you're buying preferred stock or true, real ownership in the company. A company that has been profitable every year for 130 plus years. They have paid a dividend every year for 130 years plus. During the Depression, during World Wars, during COVID, I don't care what it was, right? They have been profitable every year. Well, why aren't you a part of that? How much of that company do you want? The bigger you can build your wealth there, the better off you can be. Let me give you an example that I've used just to myself, okay? Before I knew about this, and I've only been doing it for about 18 years, I bought a small office building in the city where I live. And the mortgage every month is about $2,000 on that building. And I would write out the check faithfully every single month. I had tenants, right? On the bottom floor is all one tenant. The top floor, I have 7 different offices that I rent out to people. I would get the rents, and I'd write out to Cash Valley Bank, and they'd give me a statement saying, oh, here's a little bit of principal and a whole bunch of interest. You know how it works with mortgages, right? But I could never get access to my equity, right? I could never do that. Well, how do I get it? I go back and beg. When I understood that I could use this contract in that way, I built up the contract, I took a loan against the contract, I pay off Cache Valley Bank, and now I'll write out the $2,000 check. It goes to the insurance company, and I have access to $2,000 immediately. So in one short year, I have access to $24,000 that I didn't have the year before. Can I build my business faster? Can I expand my real estate empire faster? Every single year. And every single year since that, I'm looking for more projects, more things to invest in, more real estate. I finance cars, business acquisitions, all kinds of different things. Really, my rate of return on my money inside that contract is only limited to how much I'm using it and how much my imagination is. Can I be the financing arm of my business and then build up my business, and then when I'm old, sell my business and finance the sale of my business? Can, when I sell my business, there be a clause saying that I get the first right of refusal for any capital needs that the business has for the next 5 years? That I would be the financing arm of my business even though someone else is buying it and running it? Think about it. If you open your mind, you can really see ways to build massive amounts of wealth. Hopefully you can see that. That's what my message is tonight, is there's a way, there is a formula that's tried and true. And what I mean by tried and true, the Rockefellers do it, the Hiltons do it, the Marriotts do it, the Hendersons do it, Trump does it. For the last, I think since 1980, every president of the United States has used it in part of their presidential campaign, their contract. We would not have Disneyland if it wasn't for that contract. Walt Disney knew how to do it. He used a loan against his own system to be the first mover on the idea of Disneyland. I can go on and on and on. Why aren't banks telling us this? They don't want us to know certain things. Okay, remember I told you they put some money in someone else's bank, or they do something else with it? What do banks do with their money? Do they put it in their CDs? They're buying insurance. Their number one asset on their balance sheet is cash value life insurance. Bank of America has $19 billion worth of cash value life insurance. And if you look on their balance sheet, that is worth more than the total value of their 5,600 branches and their second tallest building in Manhattan, which they own. All that added together is less than what they have in cash value life insurance. Why don't you know about it? Well, there's restrictions from the government on how well it can be talked about and all the nuances of it. You can't advertise it. I have to be careful in what I say here, right? But you need to be in the business. You need to be in two businesses, the one that you're currently in, and you need to be in the banking business. And in the event you wanted to learn about that, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. If you don't like me, fine. Go find someone else that knows. I'm serious. Because here's the thing. If 10% of us was simply doing this concept, we're not beholden to the Federal Reserve. It's not federal, there's no reserve, so you know. We would not be beholden to that. So in my mind, yes, talk to me. I want you to talk to me, yes. If not, at least do the concept so we'll make a better country for all of us. Thanks for your time. Yeah.
All right, you guys pick up some nuggets? Everybody better be in banking by the next time I see you on the next event. Alrighty, guys. Well, I know obviously we've been kind of sitting down for a little bit. Let's break out for the next 20 to 25 minutes. Again, waters, bathroom in the back. There's some healthy energy drinks on the backside in the ice chest right here. Open up, mix and mingle. Let's talk to each other, and we'll see you guys in about 25 minutes, okay? Mike, you got the music?